My goal is to never try to shoot fish in a barrel. And when you have anger and hatred because somebody's telling you a lie that they should blatantly know what is the truth and they're harming other people in the process, take a step back, to have some humility, and understand the person is a child and they just need to be taught. They need to be learned how to do it the right way. And that's something that I need to continuously learn in myself. Or again, one of the things in which God is sanctifying me every single day, all for the better. That when it's like I have such hubris with what it is that I'm thinking because I have taken the time and consideration to know that I am correct, and if somebody else is wrong, well, that's something that's it's inside of a lot of people to think that they are correct as well. But for me, I take it personally because I thought I had the right information from how much time and consideration that I thought about that thing was being correct, that thing was correct. And when I'm proven wrong, that's a low blow for me because I thought the act of thinking I take pride in. Now, whether or not I'm actually good at it, that's a different thing entirely. So everybody has their weakness, and boy, howdy, when it hits, ooh, when it hits of like, oh, you might need to change. Oh no. Oh man, that is such a humbling thing for me. And it's something I still and need learning every day. Not that I like to learn it that way. I don't like to be told that I'm wrong. It's important to know what's correct, and it's important that once you know what that correct thing is, you've learned and you can actually do something better, and you're not doing it the wrong way anymore. But oh my gosh, I don't want to. I want to just be right all the time. Why can't we just have that? We do. It's called the internet. Oh, those people aren't wrong ever. Be placed by a robot. Beep boop. Okay, so there's Ben Shapiro went to the UNC Greensboro. I'll have the link down below to the original speech. The speech itself, I usually pass on when it comes to Ben Shapiro or any other type of college campus speech. There is one that I would love to do at some point. It's called "The Future Is Anti-Abortion" by Students for Life. That's the YouTube channel itself. I don't like listening to the actual sermon. I don't like listening to the lecture because I already agree with all of it. There's nothing that I can learn from it. And if there is a thing that I can learn from it, it's really being challenged by the questions that are being asked that I would have never thought for me to think myself. And being thrown a curveball can really like, oh, okay, well, we need to think about it this way or this way and this way. And going through a practice that even um, a practice that I've heard is that if you want to learn how to do something, practice it. If you want to know how to become a better public speaker, it do exactly listen to a sermon, even if for church, listen to a lecture, and after that, listen to the questions that are being asked, pause, and answer the question yourself. Now, there's a lot of times in which you'll get the answer wrong, but you'll be more certain about what answers you will be giving and what you determine to be the truth, but how you're able to respond will become better. That's just the best way of putting it. How you'll be able to respond will improve. And that's one thing that I would recommend. There's a lot of content that I would love to describe. The future is um, anti-abortion. Um, ah, I started listening to the Q&A of this lecture, and my goodness, there are children who hate themselves and others. When this woman up here was saying 100 lives were saved, the people who were protesting her being against abortion, being pro-life, they booed her for saying that 100 lives were saved. Boo! Imagine being on the side of history that says, boo life, kill people, yay! Like, really? My goodness. It's, again, where is your. As much as we can reason, it's one of the reasons why I'm a presuppositional apologist when it comes to Christianity. Because as much as we can rationalize, be logical, coherent, and consistent with our thought, all of our rationalization is predicated upon our value system, those roots that guide our actions. We feel a certain way, and we will shift one way or the other dependent upon those feelings. So, where are those presuppositions? Not just your base root chemical reactions. Where are those values that, oh, someone said this? Well, I need to respond this way to uphold to this thing that is just true to me. So a presupposition really is, let's get to the core of it. Let's get to the heart of it. Let's not try to, make ourselves feel really educated up here. Let's get to the heart of the matter. Where are we? Where do we need to be? So once we get to that heart, we really tackle the big things. From what I found, that's the best way of doing it. And then using exegesis as a process of following the flow of the argumentation, or following the flow of the text. Those are just two primary means, but presuppositional. There is a YouTube channel called The Majority Report with Sam Cedar, and I was strolling by trying to find some content that would challenge me, and I started listening to it, being like, okay, this might be something that I'm already going to disagree with, because of course I disagree with his philosophy, his principles, what he believes to be true, what he's valuing in society. Sometimes there's some overlap in which two people with dynamic backgrounds can come together and say this is good. Like Bill Maher, as much as I agree or disagree with whatever it is that he's doing in his life, which is a lot of disagreement, is that he is a proponent, and a very consistent proponent, of free speech. Now, freedom of speech is important, but the act of freely speaking whatever it is on your mind, the most important thing is that they're speaking truth to power. You have a right to not be molested by the government to speaking truth to power. That's a very important thing, because you slandering somebody with falsehoods, no, you have no freedom in doing that. That's not a right you have. Why? And the nuanced approach of you having the right to freely speak, to freely think, and the intent that is behind it. And you being not molested by the government, I am agreeing with that, yeah. But how do you judge intent? Well, that needs to be predicated upon the value structure and system that we all have at least some commonality behind. You don't harm your neighbor. You love your neighbor. You don't harm your neighbor. And if you harm them, you pay restitutions, you pay them back. If I speak ill about my neighbor, well, I have a right to speak freely, so I can say whatever I want to them, and it causes them to get, and if there are consequences to their actions, if there are consequences to what I spoke and it goes against them, and it's all untrue, why am I in the right? What makes it a right? Again, by the very definition, there's kind of some overlap here. You having a right to do something and it being right to do. You have a right to smoke cigarettes? Why? Smoking cigarettes are bad for you. Well, you have the allowance to do it, but it's bad for you. Why are you doing it? And if I say, no, you can't do that here, well, I want to. So, I want to do it is the basis. Again, don't impede upon neighbor. Also, don't impede upon neighbor, but you're not to impede upon me. Okay, that cigarette better not go into the landscape here. Better be throwing it into the trash. And if you throw it in the trash, why don't you? Again, the very specific points about well, do you really have a right to smoke a cigarette? Or is it something that is allowed in society? You having the right to do it versus the allowance to do it. So it's one of those things of you have the right to do what you want with your body. Okay, but when the baby is born outside of the body, do you now have no right to kill the baby because it's now no longer part of your body? So therefore, anybody who's for infanticide is a retarded, evil person. That's what we'll really get into the next video. And this one will probably take about 2 or 3 hours just to get through from start to finish, maybe 4 hours, just to talk about the entire thing of the future is abortion with these people who are going crazy against, I want to kill my baby. Abortion is awesome. Fuck people. It's like, well, really? Why would you believe and think that? So apologize for the language, but we live in the real world. So it's not an excuse to cuss. Anyways, let's get into this video of Ben Shapiro humiliated by college student during debate. Again, I'll have the original link of the debate down below with where the guy is going to start having a question to Ben Shapiro. And let's preface it. This video I'm about to present is a woman with a man that's off screen. I think he might be the producer or doing the audio and video. The woman on screen is going to say that what the guy who's about to ask Ben Shapiro a question, it was glorious. It was cathartic. I want that to be the preface point, is to understand if this is what you think is glorious and amazing, you're a really bad person. Again, I'll have the videos down below. Please watch them in its full context. We're going to go bit by bit, play by play. So let's see what she thinks is so amazing.
Speaking at an event, and he's confronted by a student about the fact that he uses outdated terminology when it comes to gender and sexuality, and the student just like goes for the jugular here, and it's glorious.
Again, look at her attitude. Look at her attitude. Because I want you to picture her face about how happy she is, about like, it's amazing, with the response and the Q&A that was given, the exchange that was given from the gentleman, that's being very polite, the guy, yeah, I'll say beta male. The beta male, he's not really, the bitch boy, I'll call him a bitch boy, because he really is a rightful bitch boy. You'll see what I mean once we get to the actual question, and we'll play in full context, and then we'll go back and listen to it bit by bit. Look at her face and keep that in mind as we listen to the guy who is asking the question, the bitch boy.
I'm a mathematician and a physicist here, double major. I also just won the most prestigious award in the country to pursue research at any institution I want, the National Science Foundation Graduate Research Fellowship. So I think I'm pretty, qualified to say that most of what you're saying is based on like old data. But my question to you, and so I want to like realize that. Like for example, gender identity disorder, that's the DSM-4, bro. We use the DSM-5 now for psychologists to be able to talk.
I literally cited the DSM-5 in the speech, and it's called gender dysphoria, which I literally that I use throughout the speech, not gender identity.
You sound like a bozo, bro. And you get no pussy, and you can't even make your wife wet, bro. What's good?
Oh.
So, let me just say, the nice thing about having several small groups that don't feel the necessity to have a masculine.
We're using a Western colonial idea of gender, then why should it apply? If we're using, because the gender binary is a Western colonialist framework of gender.
You're right. Men and women don't exist in any other culture.
No.
Right.
Think about Native Americans.
Nailed it.
Third gender people. I'm not saying that third gender people exist in Native American societies, Western African societies, Southern Native American societies like Mexico. So in other places that are not white dominated,
and they are
United
incorrect.
States or Europe. And so you're saying
white,
so non-white people. I'm a mathematician and a physicist. You cannot tell me.
So I have a question.
And also, you're not a biologist.
So I have a question.
I'm 20.
As a mathematician and a physicist, what in the hell do you know about human biology?
And you got your law degree from Harvard. What do you know about biology? You got.
And frankly, I would ask another question. If your logic is so flawed as a mathematician and a physicist, I would suggest that whichever institution gave you an award, revoke it immediately.
Whoa.
Okay. We're going to go into detail about how idiotic, dumb, stupid, vile, and evil the guy was, but listen to her response. Listen to her response about everything that just happened. The instinctual thing, if you are a good person, I am drawing a line. If you are a good person, one who is able to comprehend, understand what is right and what is wrong, that the guy who was asking the question was ill-intended, did not want and seek a good conversation, called him pejoratives, claimed him to name falsehoods against him, and then kept talking over him, and kept. There's so much wrong with what he had to say. Listen to what she says.
Oh, bro.
Like, I mean, that was just beautiful, and
That was beautiful. If this woman was to cease being in this country or having any influence online, life would be better. She is a valuable human being because we were all made in the image of God, and I am deserving of God's grace because nothing. It's Him who graces me, and I'm deserving of not. And it's my duty and responsibility that God has given to those who have come to believe to give that grace out to people. Because any and all people are not deserving. So I am to treat this woman with the thing inside of me that says, wow, everything about her just speaks evil. Finding beauty in claiming falsehoods against somebody, hating upon somebody that you don't like, and if you don't like them, you get to treat them how you want. And that's important, to treat people how you want, dependent upon whether or not you don't like them. If you don't like them, you can do whatever you want to them. And she found it beautiful. Beautiful! This is where drawing the line, Christianity is the basis of all morality. And if you disagree with that, by whose authority do you say it's wrong? You'll either point to yourself, the group, a fact, but why does that fact weigh upon the importance as to whether or not the morality should be practiced? Because it's based upon, well, the thriving of humanity. Ah, all of humanity? Just all of humanity? Well, we need to provide. We need to? What do you mean? By whose authority do we need to? To achieve a particular end, a goal that's in my mind. And if it's in my mind, then yes. Where do all these things stem from? Her position of what he said was beautiful, how he said it was beautiful, who he said it to was beautiful. It's beautiful. It's cathartic, she will say in a bit. We'll get into what she, let's, I think, listen to about 5-10 more seconds. She'll say that, again, there's about 3 minutes more of her talking. But really, finding beauty and just being like, in someone doing a wrong thing to another person. I'm not a fan of Sam Cedar. I'm not. But if a Christian in the line of Q&A, if he was doing a lecture, said to him that he's a stupid fuckface and you should die, and be like, boom, you're a miserable human being and you're an idiot, and then just walked away, why would that be appropriate? Why would that be appropriate whatsoever? Oh, it was horrible. It's not beautiful. That was bad. You said something to somebody, and if you really want to get down to the nitty-gritty, none of what he said had any substance. They were just name-calling upon somebody that you just don't like. I don't like Sam Cedar. But why would anybody call him these things, bring an accusation without any evidence to support that what he says or those accusations have any merit or truth? To call somebody falsehoods and then say that's beautiful. The type of mentality that these people have are influencing and manipulating the culture around us. So anybody who is Christian who doesn't call this stuff out, when things fall into the cracks of these people and you lose certain people in society, you cannot just wipe your hands clean, throw your hands up, and say, it wasn't me, because I have access to doing this. And if I can do it, you can do it. This is a call for all people. Call it out. Call out the illogical, incoherent, and inconsistent worldviews. And anyone who is logical, consistent, and coherent, plug them. But not just for the sake of them being logical. You can reason to genocide. You can reason to abortion. You can make it sound really smart. But what are those values in which you are predicating any and all rationality upon? What values or axioms, I'll be more specific, axioms, the things you believe to just be true, those presuppositions, where are those coming from? By whose authority do you believe these certain things? By whose authority do you dictate and command other people to do it? Because when you vote, you put somebody in a position of power, that person passes law, that law is enforced by officers, and if I say no, those officers will arrest me. They'll confiscate my stuff, they'll confiscate me, and if I continue to make trouble and rebel, I might have a chance of being shot and killed. But it's legal, therefore it's moral. Slavery was legal at one point, so it was moral to do? Oh, no. And we need to shift the standard because again, where's the logical, coherent, consistent worldview here? So, just by the reaction initially, I've listened to it multiple times. So, again, I have the benefit of first time through. I was like, did he really say that? I didn't have I was questioning, like, is this really real? Why would anybody say that? I've listened to it multiple times and I can clearly hear it now of just he has a really bad attitude. And then she found it beautiful. It's important to treat people that you don't like with disrespect because they're stupid poo poo faces. Really? Really? Okay. That's again, it's she's such an evil person. It really is. It's a beautiful thing that evil people deserve hell. Because I deserve hell. And only in Christ am I saved. And it's beautiful when justice is given. The thing is that I ask not of myself because I know I want to have her be punched in the face by reality, not by a person. I don't want violence to actually come upon her. I want her to be slapped with reality so hard that she just goes, whoa, I was wrong. Like, realizing, oh my goodness, 1 + 1 does equal 2. It doesn't mean racism. It doesn't mean colonialism. It doesn't mean patriarchy. Oh my goodness. But to say that everything that happened from that guy, to call it beautiful, it's beautiful when justice is done. It's also beautiful when mercy was given and the person who that was given the mercy to comes to repentance and asks and is grateful for the mercy that has been given, the graces that have been given. It's a beautiful thing in which something that's undeserved is given to somebody and they love and respect and have gratitude for that person that has been given it to them. So it's a beautiful process. I ask that she comes to repentance because, oh my gosh, as as Chandler from Friends would say, oh my gosh. Oh, let's go back to 21. Oh, again, now we're gonna go bit by bit, play by play of this thing.
I'm a mathematician here.
Pause. I'm a mathematician and a physicist. For anybody who remembers what just happened in the video, is that at the very end he says that you're not a biologist, Ben Shapiro. Therefore, you have no right to say about what's going on with biology, as though gender has anything to do with biology in his worldview. His worldview is it's how, define a woman. It's however if you define yourself as a woman. If being a woman means that you identify as a woman, that's what makes a woman. Cool. I'm 60. I'm 12. I am whatever age I define myself as. So you ready to go down this rabbit hole? Because where are you drawing these arbitrary lines? If I can convince somebody that they themselves are an animal, and then I kill an animal, it's not as though I'm killing a human, therefore I can get away with it much more. Just like, hey, you're a bird. Now I've convinced you to be a bird, fantastic. Now go on that building, and I'll push you off. I push off the bird, I get it on video that he's a bird, and I push off the bird. This man who identifies as a bird, who has a mental illness, that I've convinced them that they are a bird, they've pushed off, they fall to their death. I can never be arrested because that person was a bird, actually. And birds, well, they just didn't fly well. It's just that bird, I was trying to help. You know that I would be lying. You know that I would be at fault. You know that I would be murdering somebody because we know instinctively what reality is. And anybody who tries to fight and rebel against reality are fools. It's the greatest example in the world. I think it was with Cosmic Skeptic, a YouTuber. He was having a conversation with two other people who are skeptics, and they were sitting outside, and it was a really nice day. I don't know where they were, but it was in their backyard, and they were all sitting around their, I think, glass table or patio porch table out in the middle of the yard. And it was kind of a small backyard, but they were sitting right there. There was a half glass or a half glass of water in the middle of the table, and they were describing and having about an hour and a half, an hour and 10-minute discussion about what reality was. Is there actually water in the cup? What is water? How do we know water is? And I think it was a really good mental exercise. But the entire 1.5 hour video, the conversation it could have saved everybody time if you replace the water glass with a grenade. You put a grenade, you pull the pin, and you walk away. Anybody around the table who looks at their grenade and pretends it to be anything other than a grenade, a live active grenade, will die. You put your hand in fire? No. Let me say it this way. Turn on the stove, see it red hot, invite your friend over and say, touch it. It's not hot, it's cold. Like, but that's what a stove does. That's what the function is. I know that for certain, that there's a reality outside of myself that is correct and true. We instinctively know what truth is. How we're able to define it is predicated upon our values and axioms that we believe about the world. This thing is hot. Well, I'm going to touch it. But wait, pain is bad, so I won't. The thing that which I believe to be bad, but can pain be a good thing? Yes, during exercise. So it is well placed. And when you continue to extrapolate in the ultimate sense, by whose authority should we abide by whatever philosophy and principle we are to execute into society? The moment you say society, okay, can you logically, coherently, and consistently play that thought out all the way through? No. Because then you'll shift it to what I believe. Well, there's just this mechanism of interweaving we're all connected. And what I feel, what another person feels, we need to be bonded and connected in that regard, that I need to say some things that are helpful and benefit to them. And it's like, okay, well, who's going to be the dominant one? Who's going to be the leader? Well, we're going to decide that, and where's your shit? You're going to go in this ebb and flow, this journey upon life for years until you understand that the bedrock foundation is because God said. Don't murder because God said. You need a book to tell you not to murder? As though that changes whether or not we should murder or not? Did you know in this book it says don't have hatred in your heart because hatred against your brother is committing murder against them? Don't have anger or hatred. Oh, you need a book to tell you what to do? Okay, I divine in my own mind. I divine in my own mind. Don't murder. Wow, revolutionary. Now I write it on a piece of paper. Does that thought now become invalid because I wrote that on a piece of paper? Well, it's the source of where you're getting it from. It has to come from you, which means that any person who's learning from somebody who's more wise and more informed than they are, who's giving instruction to the person who doesn't know, that's stupid, because you need to think about it your own way. So anytime that there's somebody smarter than you, don't learn from them. Make up your own mind about what you think reality is. See where the idiocy comes in? Anything can be whatever you want it to be, even though there's an objective truth and reality that extends outside of ourselves, and by whose authority do we do a certain thing or not. So it's amazing of what definitions. That's interesting. Okay. So this man, bitch boy, I call him a bitch boy because there's no goodness inside of him. It's like there's nothing but anger and hatred towards his fellow man, towards just other people. This guy came up here, I would say in a tank top, saying and touting as his first things are, I am a mathematician, I am a physicist. Okay, I don't care if you're the president, because both you and I know that the president of the United States now is a buffoon. Politicians win because of popularity. There is a level of smartness that they have to have. Yes, but being a politician, there's a level of popularity that you have, that you won over other people. And that's largely circumstantial. Circumstantial, yeah. Largely circumstantial. You can be the smartest person, do all the right things, but it be the wrong time, and you could be less popular than the other person because you have no name recognition. You did all the things right and you would be a better candidate, but the other person had name recognition and they had the systems in place to go ahead and get their name out. And then they won. So again, it's like, oh, I'm a congressman. It's like, I don't give a flying F, sir. What does that have anything to do with whether or not you're trying to shoot somebody? Don't shoot somebody, but I want to, and I'm a congressman. It's like, what does that have anything to do with anything? I say this with love and respect. The pastor of my church can come to me and say, as your pastor, okay, you better not tell me how to tell me what I should be doing with my finances unless you yourself have either experienced it or know somebody that I can go to go through financial experience, to get through financial investments. I should not be listening to financial guidance from my spiritual counselor. I shouldn't be. It's not his niche. It's not his education. He might have ideas that could be correct, but where is the validation? Where are we right now, and what are the type of actions that he should be taking? And is he aware of those type of things? It's not that he can't have an idea. Just because you have a discipline or a skill or an ability or a title doesn't mean that your position is correct. It can mean that you're well educated and that there can be some level of authority in what you have to say, but listen to the attitude that the man is saying, the bitch boy. He's a literal boy. I keep saying bitch boy, but he's a boy. He's a child. And he's just waving his tongue around, being. There's no care or consideration with what's going on in his heart. There's no care or consideration with what's happening in his mind. There's no care or consideration with what's going on with the people around him. He just hates, and he's directing it at Ben. As you can see, as we will see after he talks about the DSM-4, DSM-5 thing.
Double major. I also just won the most prestigious award in the country to pursue research at any institution I want.
Research in mathematics or physics, or research in any topic. See, that's very far-fetched. Just because somebody was an engineer doesn't mean that they should be doing research in psychology. Why would they be given that? And if anything, I would actually question the institution that's giving somebody a grant to pursue. You've done it well in here, go somewhere else entirely and spend another 8-20 years doing that, rather than getting somebody who's already in that field, who already has experience and understanding, and giving them some grant money to go and try to do some research. And I disagree with the entire grant money itself, but again, if we were to choose one of the two.
So I think I'm pretty, qualified to say that most of what you're saying is based on like old data.
Old data, and we'll get into that. What does it mean by old data? Because like he's gonna mention a few areas, but he's not qualified because he said he was a mathematician and a physicist. You see where the illogical, incoherent, inconsistent worldview is coming from? Your basis of what you just stated about yourself was, I'm a mathematician and physicist. Therefore, your determination of their psychology and their biology is wrong. But also, if you ask this boy, what is a woman, they will define a woman as anything. If you identify as a woman, that's what makes you a woman. Okay, what's a man? One who identifies as a man. What's a chair? Well, that's a chair. Well, why would you limit a person to not being able to be a chair? Why would you limit a person to not being of a different age bracket? Why would you limit a person from not being able to be a mythical monster or creature? Why would you limit a person from not wanting to be a doctor with no experience? Or don't just become a doctor. You have to identify yourself as a doctor. Well, doctor, and then start going with the definition of what a doctor is, what the functionality of a doctor is, what type of duties and responsibilities a doctor would have, what type of knowledge and understanding a doctor would have to have. But you can't apply that to a woman because that's sexist. Oh, okay. Where's your worldview? Oh, anything could be whatever you want? Gotcha.
But my question to you,
So I want to like realize that.
like for example, gender identity disorder, that's the DSM-4, bro. We use the DSM-5.
Using the word bro, you can use that. Like if I said, whoa, bro. No, whoa. The type of attitude that's behind that word. Hey, bro. You'll see that, bro. What type of attitude does he have? It's not a healthy one. It's not a good one.
Now for psychologists to be able to talk
I literally
about,
cited the DSM-5 in the speech, and it's called gender dysphoria, which is the term that I use throughout the speech, not gender identity.
Okay, now he's about to insult Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro just corrected him, and what is his first response? As the child that he is, I'm corrected. This person is stupid poo-poo face. Therefore, insults. And his insults are, okay? So, again, if this person ceases to exist, not saying that he should be murdered or killed, if he doesn't exist anymore, society would be better. I would say that. And like if he was gone, moved somewhere else to a different country, awesome. He can use that ideology with them. Because his ideology is what is making everybody around him. I would say actually it's making everybody else stronger around him because everybody else has to compensate for his idiocy. his immorality, his lack of awareness, his foolishness is actually making people strong because we have to compensate for his destruction of society. Again, everything that he just, you sound like a bozo, bro. You sound, you can't get you've not had sex, or you can't get your wife's vagina wet. Okay, he has multiple children with an ideal wife. Very beautiful, very hot, actually. And in a relationship in which she is his best friend and he is her best friend. It is a relationship in which I envy. It's a relationship in which I wish I could have myself. It's a phenomenal thing that he has, and it's a respectable thing. His religion, his faith in his relationship with God is incorrect. Ben Shapiro. He's a Jew. You're almost there. Come to Christ. Come to the true Jew. Come to the true Jew. Have faith in God that you yourself have no ability to be righteous against him, because any sin at all ever makes you tainted, and there's nothing good in what you can do. That Jesus Christ has done the deed for you. And if anybody has any questions about, well, how does Jesus' sacrifice wash your sins away? Symbolism. Why would an infinite being create finite creatures for him to have forever and eternally? Because we are a symbolism for his glorification. We were made for a particular purpose for him. And your relationship with that fact has everything to do with whether or not you are saved or not. I want God, who controls all things, to be in governance of my life, because I know that he will have me, regardless of whether or not I do anything to mess it up. Versus, I like what he does, but I still want to go my own path. Okay, you have about 50 years. He has all of eternity. Who's going to win? So, reliance upon you or reliance upon God? You know, it's like, I don't believe in God. Doesn't matter whether or not you believe in fire. Fire is going to be hot regardless of whether or not you believe it to be hot. Oh, I don't believe in death. Okay. Okay. I don't believe in it. That's not a valid excuse. So, So again, these three things that were said to him, they're all falsehoods, and they're nothing but just, you corrected me. You're such a bastard, Ben Shapiro, because you said things that I just don't like. You're oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, oh my gosh.
The nice thing about
And Ben Shapiro has a better collection about himself, because I would probably, like, the fact that they still give him the microphone, the guy who's the boy who's questioning, the child who's questioning, I don't know why they allowed that. The woman who is actually holding the microphone, they hold the microphone just to make certain that the person behind them doesn't just take the microphone and just go off with it or something. It has happened before, I think, just once, and that was enough for them to be like, okay, this is my microphone, not yours. See, now Ben Shapiro was reacting to his derogative names that were called to him that are all false, but there's just pejoratives or names that I don't like you, you're stupid, you're a poo-poo face, everything about you is wrong and stupid because your face. Ben Shapiro was reacting, responding to what he just had to say, and now the child, is is trying to talk over him. Is that really the well-intended is the person who has two majors, mathematics, physics, somebody who's been educated and received this esteem award of doing research anywhere, and with the freedom that he has in researching anything or if anywhere? Is this really the type of person that we're producing in society, that we are giving him funds from the government to become a person like this? If this is the type of person from education in which is being developed, cut all education off. It's done. Because the product that we are producing is detrimental to the society. What we are reaping from the rewards of giving this person money from the government, the taxpaying citizens, what they are giving to this man who applied from the government, what we are receiving back in from society, we are not getting paid dividends, we are getting a net loss. We are losing, and he continues to live in society. And it's like we just need to cut off the poison. Cut out the parasite as soon as possible. Cut out the funds in which we are producing this type of person in society. If he wants to do that with his own money, I would still say that it's wrong. By whose authority do I say it's wrong? Okay, well, what is truth? What is a woman? Is up, up, down, down? Well, anything can be whatever you want if you remove the anchor point of Earth. Well, in the vacuum of space, is up and down is whatever you want it to be. Okay? Cool. That's a very well thought out question, but you didn't answer it. Is up, up, down, down? You throw something up? Well, it's going to continue to go up if it goes a certain distance. I would ask. Throw a ball up, will it come back down? It's like if you answer the very basic question. You can overanalyze, over-rationalize because you're trying to get a particular goal and objective. If you throw something up, will it come down? And let me say that it's like, well, if you throw it up high enough. No, no, no. If you throw something up, will it come back down? Yes! Why? The limitation of how high I can throw. It'll come back down. What are the confines of the things that are being spoken about? Words are definitions of things in which we are to describe. We are describing certain things in reality. People have different definitions for things because you are describing in a different way. What is a woman? Well, it's whatever you want a woman to be. Okay, well, what is a dog? Well, a dog is specifically a one who barks. Really? Why not one who squeaks? The moment. Yes.
Colonial idea.
Again, Western colonial. He's okay. Okay. Colonization is amazing. Western society is amazing. It's produced a lot of crap, like this man, this little boy right here, but it's produced a lot of great things. It really has. Because the basis of don't harm neighbor, don't love neighbor as yourself, stemmed from Christianity. It's like, well, that's not where the values come from because we thought of a lot of other different things and whatever it is that we want. Yeah, isn't it a pitiful thing that we're expanding into territories in which anything can be whatever you want? But then when I continue to ask and press, oh, there's actually certain truth and reality. Okay, where do you get those? Well, anything could be whatever you want it to be.
Of gender, then why could it apply? If we use because the gender binary is a Western colonial.
Listen to how he's speaking. Oh my gosh, if this is the way that you're really talking about, like, oh my gosh.
Don't exist in any other culture.
No. America. There's people like Native American.
Yeah, there are only two genders. And it's really hilarious for somebody trying to bend over backwards, trying to make that reality, who they themselves also believe that abortion should be a right. It's really amazing how certain ideologies really just clump together. What is a woman? If you identify as a woman. Okay, is an abortion wrong? Is murder wrong? Well, only in the confines of whether or not you just want to kill him. Because what do you do in an abortion? Well, if a woman wants to have an abortion, they should deserve it. Okay, replace the word abortion with killing and murder. You see where the reasoning comes out? It's like, oh, no, because of the standard of it's your body, your choice. Is it really your body? So you have a right to doing what you want with your body inside of you. So that means that those children who are not yours, who are you telling what they should learn in society, why do you have any right and say of what they do with their life, with their children? It's like, well, they can do whatever they want with anything. Exactly. You have to defend this free will aspect of autonomy, self-autonomy, me, of what it is that I'm doing in life. But yet you still vote. But yet you still have conversations with people. But yet you try to convince people to change their minds. Why? Towards what end? Towards what goal? What objective? You want to change other people, and there's a certain means of how to get there. And if the produce that you are producing, not trying to produce, but are producing, you would be wrong.
Societies, Western African societies, yeah, Southern Native American societies like Mexico. So in other places that are not white dominated,
And they are
Okay, now we're talking about whiteness. Okay, not about ethnicity, just skin color. White, non-white predominant people. I'm not white. I'm Anglo-Saxon or something. So it's like if I don't identify as white, therefore I'm not white. You see where his ideology is really retarded? It's like, what if I never identify as white? But you look white, therefore you have certain beliefs in you. It's like, huh? Yeah, birds of a feather flock together, and if 10 people who are white have a certain belief system, and I, as a white person, may be naturally drawn to go with people who are of a like mind, or of a like heart, not because they have an outside skin color, but because of their culture, and I believe that certain thing, and I'm going to start to adapt what that person believe, what that system believes. But why is that inherently wrong if the majority of people believe that? Because in his worldview, it's about a power dynamic. If you don't have Christ, you have power dynamics. And it's not about loving your neighbor, it's about another person has been wronged and you have hatred for people who have more power than you, because more power means more wrongdoing. More good is in rebellion against the systems and structures that exist in the first place. So we need to tear everything down. The fact that that happened was hilarious. I went like, woo! So I've done that multiple times. It's hilarious. I'm a very hand speaker. I'm a hand speaker. That's just what it is. Oh my gosh.
So non-white people.
Again, now it's about non-white people. And again, it's
I'm a mathematician and a physicist.
there you go. He says I am a mathematician and a physicist, and he's about to point out the fact that Ben Shapiro does not have a biology degree. But when it comes to a woman that you will describe as that, what is a woman? Whatever you want it to be. So what is woman in your worldview being detached from biology, gender theory being detached from biology? What does it have anything to do with biology for you to say to Ben Shapiro that he should have a biology degree to have any authority whatsoever to speak about something that's not attached to biology? Oh my gosh. The insanity, the stupidity, and here's the evil part about it. Calling somebody out for their stupid, foolish, wrong behaviors, their ideologies that have been proven wrong, and their positions have been made dead, will be proud in their ignorance and proud to tell other people what they believe to be true, regardless of whether or not it actually was correct. And they will boast in and of themselves and try to convince people to drag them down to their level to blame everybody else for their woes. Evil people, really evil people, are those who acknowledge that they're evil, don't give a flying, pardon my language, they don't give a flying fuck about whether or not their actions are true or not, because they want to do it their way. And if somebody gets in the way, they're wrong, they're dumb, they're stupid. But by whose authority do you say they are? Because anything can be whatever you want it to be, bro. Where's the logical, coherent, consistent worldview that you have? Because it's predicated upon anything can be whatever you want it to be. And then when you have a fact that is correct, oh, but based on this factual thing that's real in life, we need to do certain things. But by whose authority do you say that we need to do it this way, based off that fact having a meaningful impact upon anything else that we should really go towards? What are the goals and objectives in which we are going towards? Anything can be whatever you want it to be. See, welcome to the reality of insanity. If you do not have Christ from the base bedrock life of where you are rationalizing any and all positions, you start to get these real big issues of why. I know, very big concept there. Why? You'll give a rationalization. You're not getting it. Not the rationalization as to why, but where does that root value stem from? Circumstance, society, neighbors, yourself. Okay, why should that be the thing? You'll come to a rationalization. No, where did that value come from that is important and meaningful inherently? Because if it's just I came up with it, can you not apply that same standard elsewhere? Oh, because of the combination of this value. Why? See, we understand what is real in this life. We understand hot is hot and cold is cold. We understand when it's raining outside, we don't go outside naked, because we will get sick when we come back in because we've been exposed to the elements. We understand certain basic things. Sometimes we're stupid and not have a click about it intellectually. Instinctively we do. You want to say it's biology? Okay. So it's the stem root of biology. So if you don't have the right biology, you don't have the right genetics, you're a lesser human being? We can say that the function of a person is less, but again, inherently good based off their genetics. In all reality, in all sense, if you start removing God, it really is a power dynamic and a power structure as to whether or not certain people with certain right genetics are better people. And if they are better people, why are we breeding of lesser people? Why don't we just eradicate people who are lesser so they don't infect the good genes that are in society? Because that's where all goodness is coming from. See, where you get to, you can rationalize really well. But the value that you are starting from the stem root to start rationalizing and the end up the fruit that comes from that rationalization is all predicated upon which foundation you are starting from. And it's a what is truth, what is morality, by which morality, by whose authority. What is truth? Which morality and by whose authority? You can say it by whose morality. Whose morality? Just sum it up like that. Whose morality are we abiding by? Society. Why? By whose morality should we do that with? Or do that by or something. So. There you go. You're not a biologist, and we've already addressed that.
And you got your law degree from Harvard.
You see, Ben Shapiro was rightfully live, mind you. This is live. We have the luxury in being able to pause this. Live, being able to call out this child's position, this child's answers. Saying, you're calling me out, saying that I don't have a biology degree and therefore I can't speak about gender, which has nothing to do in his worldview about gender, which gender and biology and his worldview have nothing to do with each other. But apparently biology is this thing that you're supposed to have as a biology degree for you to have a right and say whether or not someone does. And Ben Shapiro points that out about him. You're a mathematician, you're a math major and a physics major. You don't have a biology degree. What do you have to do with it? And that child says to Ben Shapiro, well, where'd you get your law degree? Childish, stupid, elementary.
You know, frankly.
And then we're pretty much done. And then, do you remember what the very beginning of this video was about? The woman who said it was cathartic in the rest of the video to listen to that child berate Ben Shapiro with lies and ill intent. Let's listen to what she has to say.
Whoa. All right, well, that was...
You sound like a bozo, bro.
Like, I mean, that was just beautiful. And I'm sure that...
That was beautiful? You're an absolute idiot. We took the time for an hour to dissect that video, and it was not a beautiful video of saying, like, oh, it's beautiful because Ben Shapiro got owned. He got owned? Well, what's a woman? As a woman, what's a woman? Well, it's whatever you identify as. Again, trying to rationalize with somebody who is an idiot. How do you do that? You can't. But yet they have a right and say of what I do with my life. They have a right and say of what other people do. They have a right to vote to putting somebody in a position of power who passes law, and then officers of the law will enforce those laws. And if I say no to any of the process, then I will go to jail. This person has an influence as to whether or not I go to jail. This person has an influence as to whether or not other people, my neighbors, go to jail. You see where it's important to by whose foundation do you rely upon? Because I used to be a libertarian. Used to be. Hardcore anarchist, like capital L libertarian. I used to do stupid stuff with that. But you cannot come to the conclusion when it's trying to build a society. And I'm thinking that if people are, again, an issue in the back of my head is the fact that I'm even bringing up the idea of the function of building a society as though that's the end point. It doesn't matter whether or not ham in a hell basket, whatever the phrase is called, hell in a hell basket. You do the right thing. You try to. You use right thinking. Sometimes it's good to lie to save your family from evil people. Well, God said don't lie. God said not to murder too. And if this person's murdering and I can tell a lie to prevent murder because life is what is valuable, because God said, because by whose authority do you say? By whose authority do you speak? The self-attesting word of the true and living God. You start with that premise and in all things fall in place. Because when somebody says, well, your position's wrong. Okay, by whose authority do you say it's wrong? You're judging me by a comparison, but what is that comparison? Why is that comparison important in one way or the other? Because you have a specific goal, and how you're determining certain values that you just believe in. Where are those values coming from? For me, lots of values came from my childhood. So it's like all these things in place, and I want to talk about maybe what she was thinking and how where she goes down. But it's enough just for us to just point out, she found it beautiful. She found all this idiocy, the evilness, the bad behaviors, and the ill-intended consequences of even talking to a person, and not just not having a good, honest, firm discussion. For example, Anna Kasparian is a co-host of The Young Turks with Cenk Uygur. I think it's Cenk Uygur. I think it's Uygur. I don't like mispronouncing names if I can avoid it. Don't like the guy, but again, I don't like to mispronounce names. And I am not a fan of Anna Kasparian. She's a very pretty lady. Can't get around that. She has an attitude problem and values certain things that are contrary to life. I would say. Can I be wrong? Yes. The thing is that she and Ben Shapiro had a debate. I didn't listen to any of the debate, but I thumbed up the video because the fact that they were able to even have the debate was important. The fact that it was happening. I didn't really care what was happening because I had other things which I wanted to focus on and do. But I was grateful that the conversation was actually happening. And I think that if I understand correctly from all the sentiment from the people that were mentioning in the comment section, it was nothing but a respectful debate. It's like there were times in which each person kind of like got ownage on the other person. Ben Shapiro specifically, I think, got more ownage on the other person. But it was highly respectful. It was highly profitable to at least get some clarity about which side had certain positions. So I disagree with Anna Kasparian, but what was happening was a very beautiful thing. It was. That's where the beauty is coming from. But for her, not Anna Kasparian, but the woman that's on the screen, to say that what she just found was beautiful, what made it beautiful? Falsehoods being spoken with an ill intent? Somebody can speak to me with falsehoods, but they have a goodwill intent, and it's annoying. And it's beautiful for us to to at least try to plant the seed of truth. But she just found it beautiful for one person to berate a person that she didn't like. And that's where her beauty comes from. Because in her worldview, there's nothing but power dynamics. In her worldview, there's nothing but structure of oppression. What's the ultimate good that you are going for? That's a good question that I'd probably ask, and even for myself. It's something I probably wouldn't be able to articulate as well as I am now as I would have years ago. The glorification of Christ Jesus in his kingdom here on earth. There's no other righteous thing to ever do than to progress God's kingdom. And if somebody says, by whose authority do you say that, or trying to use these logical, like, I've tried to use these logical, I have a family member who I tried to catch on their hypocrisy. And just like that child in the audience who was asking the question, that's the type of behavior that he would say to me. And now I'm at the point where he said to me and my family member, I'm no longer to talk about politics. I'm no longer allowed to talk about Jesus Christ. Because I try to catch them on his BS of giving me a logical, incoherent, inconsistent thought process and be like, you can't do that, man. Be like, okay. And then it just gets progressively worse because they just live in this denial. They live in a world of, I want to do it my way. Also, I'm going to vote and try to convince other people to do it a certain way. And if you disagree with them, you're a racist, bigot, homophobic, neo-Nazi, white supremacist, patriarchy, colonialism, all that great stuff. So it's annoying. I am grateful to have the position in which that I have. First, basing my philosophy upon not my authority, not my own wisdom, but God. God said he created man and woman. So it's like, well, we have intersex people. I know. And they themselves are not the standard. They're the outlier. And they're not insignificant because of it. They are significant because they were made in the image of Christ. It's like, where does your value come from? The anchor point is God's word, or it's whatever you want it to be, rationalized however it is that you want. It's like, well, you can't rationalize it however you want. Why not? Why cannot other people change their worldview? Because it's difficult? Again. So, anyways. And that's the end of that. We'll be done, because there's some things I need to do. Oh, I have an alarm at 24 minutes ago. Sweet. Okay. Thank you for being part of this. I'll see you next time.